Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of Last Stop Penn Station. Ian Riccaboni.
Another summer sizzler.
Yeah, there are more summer sizzlers than there are sizzler restaurants, Carrie.
I hope the summer sizzlers continue. I was complaining, smacked me in the face. I was saying it was too hot today.
Right, you're usually bundled up. Yeah,
I'm famous for saying that I don't care how hot it is.
Yeah.
But the weather's great. The summer's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was unable. We got a very good reaction last week. I heard from some of my old local friends who attended the original Ginder Pit with me.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. And you found pictures of the diving horse.
I found pictures. I posted the diving horse.
Yeah.
And our producer AJ and I have really been enjoying Boardwalk Empire.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be the most brutal of all these shows. You know, you'd say, well, you know, The Sopranos, there's a lot of violence, and
mm-hmm.
this show and that show and Game of Thrones and all these shows, but this is very graphic violence. But the diving horse was doing this thing in Atlantic City way back then,
mm-hmm.
as well as all kind. They had they didn't have a two-headed the Siamese style,
which we confirmed has been at the On Time frequently until 2017.
But they showed the half man, half lady.
Oh,
the guys so just their face. You know, was styled like with a nice male haircut. The other side was styled with lady's haircut of the early 20s, and had like a dress on one side and sort of a waistcoat on the other side. Just some real classic stuff. But the diving horse, my good friend Joe, who I saw today, who worked at Rave Review for many years, and he's 10 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that his aunt, and I believe his mother, or might have been his grandmother,
mm-hmm.
took him to Atlantic City when he was a kid. So if I saw the diving horse in the 60s, he saw the diving horse not once, but twice.
Wow.
In the 70s. He ran into the diving horse, ran into on the Steel Pier, of course.
Right.
Maybe into the early 80s.
Wow.
Now it's banned. Of course.
Yeah. Seems like there's a lot of room for error with the poor diving horse. So.
Yeah, I mean, we were asking last week about, you know, how big was the pool,
mm-hmm.
and the pictures that I came up with over the years. It wasn't a very big drop, but it was high enough.
Yeah.
And pool didn't look that big to me.
Oh, geez, yeah.
But they knew what they were doing.
Hopefully.
I hope so. But yeah, Joe told me that, and I was saying, they would have third-rate attractions, like maybe one-hit wonder bands. Yeah. Joe saw the great, and I mentioned the great Duck Ellington.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Joe saw, talk about a legend of jazz, the great Count Basie band.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I don't remember who I saw. So it was probably, you know, because Count Basie was not a grade C at all.
Yeah.
You know,
my father always tells me the story about how he saw Stevie Wonder and who was the group that did
Fifth Dimension.
He saw them on the Waterloo Pier.
Cool.
Yeah, around that time period. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll get to watch. You'll get to watch that Soul show about the New York City 1969. For lack of a better way to term it, they called, you know, the Black Woodstock.
Right.
And the Fifth Dimension were on that,
mm-hmm.
and Up and Away was a big hit.
Yeah.
And they also had Marilyn McCoo was the girl who was she went on to do some stuff after the Fifth Dimension,
mm-hmm.
and Billy, I forget the main singer's name, but anyway, they had this great footage of them watching the tape of them doing the festival in Harlem. And they were worried about getting booed off the stage.
Really?
Because they thought that they were considered They were a white act.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and then Marilyn McCoo says, and then suddenly the album came out, and here's these 5 black people flying in balloons. But the thing was, their biggest hit.
Aquarius?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Hair was playing.
Okay.
It was a huge show at the time. First time you could see nude people as an added bonus.
Yeah.
Besides Show World.
Right.
This is before Show World, actually.
Yeah.
And the male lead singer from the Fifth Dimension left his wallet in a cab. They were playing at the Americana, which was now the big Sheraton on 7th and 53rd.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were playing there, and someone got in the cab, found the wallet, was able to track it down to where the Fifth Dimension was staying, and it was one of the producers from Hair.
Oh, wow.
And they came there, and the singer from Fifth Dimension said, "Listen, I'm so grateful. Let me give you tickets for our show." Thank you. Let me give you tickets. Let me give you an invite for our show.
Oh, wow.
And they went and saw Hair.
Yeah.
And with, the great Let the Sun Shine.
Right. Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Amazing.
But yeah, so they were, so your father saw them in Wildwood.
He did.
That's cool.
And I got some 1969 facts. It's a 69 day here on Last Stop Penn Station.
Okay.
Got some 69 facts for you. I got Mike G's book.
Okay.
I read through it. It's one of the things.
I like it.
Loved it. Great photos. The anecdotes about the couples who met there and got married and stayed married. That's amazing. But also, I really like the parts where it tells you how much each act made. And that was pretty neat to see that Country Joe got looped in for a bonus. He played a solo acoustic before he played with the Fish, which I thought was pretty interesting. Didn't even realize that he was the only act to play twice.
Yeah, and Santana, as we talked about with Mike G, they were just a throw-in with the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And I think they made $500.
Yeah, and it's really amazing to see which bands. There's a group, and I'm blanking on the name, but they chose not to be in the documentary, not to be on the album. And they have a quote from one of the gentleman's daughters who said, The father wouldn't even talk about Woodstock, wouldn't talk about the band. He just saw it as such a missed opportunity. He just left that all behind him.
Well, I know that the Dead and the band chose not to be on the album and the film, and they survived well.
Right.
CCR.
Right.
And probably there was another.
Yeah. So there's some more.
Was the Who in the movie?
I don't remember.
I think so. Another on the album.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and the really fun list at the end of the acts that we asked Mike G. One of the acts that I didn't name was Free. Free had a conflict; we couldn't do it. There's some other fun ones there as well, including Tommy James, which you mentioned with the Hawaii story. Which, if you didn't hear that, go back and listen. The other 1969 fact, Carrie, I have a trivia question.
Go ahead.
Which 3 fast food restaurants opened up within 3 months of each other in 1969?
Well, I want to say McDonald's, but I think it opened before that.
Yeah, and I'll give you a hint. It's all the same genre, which makes it even weirder.
Arby's, Hardee's. What the hell's the other roast beef one? Am I right with Arby?
No.
Hold on.
It's all.
Is it burger places?
No. That's what makes this even stranger.
How about Kentucky Fried Chicken?
No.
All right, I give up.
Yeah, this is even weirder. There are 3 fish fast food places.
Which ones?
Long John Silver.
Okay.
Arthur Treacher's.
Arthur Treacher.
Which is only one left in America.
Do you know who he was?
No.
He was an old-time actor.
Okay.
Like he would play like the butler. The old Brit.
Okay.
And then he was the Merv Griffin's Ed McMahon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
You asked your parents about it. So I remember one time I was a kid and I was listening, thanks to Mike G, I was listening to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I was into the FM, which wow, this FM station. Like Mike told me, he goes, well, they're just little. All right. But I got I had the Vanilla Fudge album.
Oh, okay.
With
Keep Me Hanging On?
Yes. Yeah. Keep Me Hanging On, which was a 7-minute epic, and they cut it down to 3 minutes to make radio play.
Yeah.
The FM stations would play the whole version. But
Yeah.
anyway, Merv Griffin had Vanilla Fudge on, and they were, they didn't have a lot of rock and roll on that kind of show. They'd have a Tony Bennett.
Sure.
They'd have a Gladys Knight,
Yeah.
and very rarely would they have that loud. And they probably did You Keep Me Hanging On. And after it was, I just remember this, after I was watching my mother, she's like, ugh. She knew good jazz and good classical. But at the very end, after that end of Keep Me Hanging On, da-dun, 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 the end, right? Boom.
Yeah.
They cut after the quick Merv Griffin is like, the Vanilla Fudge. And he goes, and they cut across to Arthur Treacher sitting on the couch, just like,
Gary's pretty much hypnotized right now.
He was hypnotized as if his head was blown off. But he was a classic character. So we had
within 3 months.
We had the Treachers.
Yeah.
And what was
Long John Silver's?
What was the third?
Captain D, which is still
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's still around in the Midwest. So yeah, it blew me away.
Well, speaking of the Midwest, we got the pride, one of the prides.
Yeah.
The pride of the Midwest. Is Minnesota considered the Midwest?
Yeah, I'd say, what's that? Yeah, that's the Midwest.
We have our good friend and Ring of Honor events coordinator, former longtime wrestling and music promoter, as well as legal genius.
Yeah, one of the few men that was at WCW start to finish as well.
Right. Gary Juster joining us today. So I'm more interested in his time with the old school wrestling and his political stuff.
Yeah, Gary's he's a well-connected man. We're going to hopefully ask him some questions and get some answers about that, his time. It's interesting, he wound up with a Minnesotan, but he didn't know the famous Minnesotan, until he got to DC. So
yes,
we'll try and figure that out.
He was a Walter Mondale guy.
Yeah, so we'll see how he got connected with Vice President Mondale. We'll talk about if he ever met Jimmy Carter. And I've got some questions about how the Ring of Honor sailed. You always mention how he was the bridge that got to Sinclair Broadcast Group. So we'll ask him about that. And
he really was. I mean, because as important, and I'm not diminishing Jim Cornette's, it had to be a
group effort.
Yes, it had to be a confluence of the right time and the right people. But Gary knew Joe. Yeah. Joe Koff.
Yeah.
And that was the that was the tie-in. If Jim knew Gary, Gary knew Joe, and I know you.
And you know me. I got you, babe.
I got you.
That's more the speed of Merv Griffin.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's more Merv Griffin.
I think Sonny Show would have been too expensive for them.
Right.
They have their own TV show.
True. Yeah, they were hot acts. But we have another hot act coming up right now. It's Gary Juster joining us on Last Stop Penn Station.